Hey, hi, and hello, Mad Pyro here on day 48. I am going to address a couple things first before I go anywhere in this video at all. I got a comment yesterday about, um, the keto thing, and yes, I'm still doing keto. This is primarily a vlog about my keto journey. Yes, Stacy, I'm talking to you. The idea is to record my entire daily life and how I'm affected by everything, not just keto, but my daily surroundings too. I know I've kind of been going off on a tangent about COVID-19 because it's affecting everything at this point. It affects the way we function, it affects the way we move, it affects what we buy right now. So it's all connected. I know I kind of go off on tangents about it from time to time, but that's just me. So instead of focusing on what's going on with it, I'm going to focus more, because I talked to another friend of mine who wanted me to focus more on how we're handling it here, how it's affecting me and Amy as far as our keto lifestyle goes, and how we're dealing with everything. As well as how it's affecting me personally. So I'm going to get a little more in depth with that today. I'm trying to steer away from the news and the media and the COVID-19 stuff as much as I can from now on. I'm getting burnt out. Not just on the news reports and all that, but it's confusing as shit for people that even understand it, let alone... Amy, you want to get in on this?
Well, I'm eating, and I don't think you're going to like the smell of what I'm eating.
I don't care.
Alright.
I have a lot... First off, I'm very opinionated. If anybody knows me, they know that. Secondly, I have become more politically aware in the past, 5 years, 8 years, because I realize how the politics are starting to affect my life. Well, not starting, always have, but I'm just opening my eyes to how it affects my life and our lives, more than I gave it credit for originally. So and learning all this stuff and watching all the news spots and seeing how everybody as a nation has been affected by this. It's weird. It's just, to me, it's odd to see everybody get affected in different ways, and then on top of it, it's weird because I never thought I would be this involved with it, or this affected by it, for that matter. A lot has happened in the world in my lifetime anyway. I've lived through 3 recessions, this one not included in that. We have done, I've seen the all sorts of stuff in my life, and it's just... It's weird to me, that's all. I know it makes no sense to you guys, but it does to me. So, and I'll get into it more in-depthly and explain it little by little, and you'll understand. I put myself in positions to where I'm in the history. And this is historic. What we're living through right now is absolutely historic. And it will be in the history books, and it will be recorded. God knows what they're going to name it. The Great Virus Recession or something like that. They'll come up with something stupid, I'm sure. But this is history that we're living in. And I try to explain that to my kids, and of course they're like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. you know, looking back on it, I mean, you know, my grandmother, at least the person I knew as my grandmother, she lived through a lot of history too. You know, with the World Wars and Vietnam and all that, the '60s and the '70s, and you know, and saw it all too. I never gave people credit. I always loved talking to older people than me because they learn so much from what they've gone through, and I've always kind of been a history buff anyway. And to know that I'm living in history, and hopefully one day I'll be able to spread my knowledge that I've learned in my lifetime and the things that I've seen and how the world's changed to somebody else who's just as interested in it as I was. So I guess what it boils down to is, you know, we're living in the midst of history, and we shouldn't turn our noses up at it, because one of these days we're all going to be sitting around talking to someone. Might be in a group of everybody that I know, it might not, but we're going to be like, do you remember back in 2020 when we were all locked in our houses for a month and a half going fucking crazy because we didn't know what was going on in the world, and our president was giving us mixed messages, and the government was giving us one message when the president was giving us another, when our governor was giving us another. That's all part of history, and it's fascinating to me to be living in such a time, you know, to where we can see all this. I mean, everything from, oh my God, where can I start? I lived through the '80s. That's enough. But then going up through watching, you know, the space shuttle explode, and then, you know, the war in the Middle East, and
The wall coming down.
the
in
wall
Germany.
coming down in Berlin, and you know, the Cold War ending, and it just, there's so much of it that you know, you can't really comprehend it until you sit back and reflect on it. And I like to do that. I like to think about everything and everywhere that I've been. I mean, I remember going to New York and going up in the World Trade Center. I had a friend of mine that worked there. So, having done that, and now, you know, going up to where the memorial is and seeing the big hole that once was the footprint of the World Trade Center, or going into the Smithsonian and seeing the antenna that was on top of Tower 2, and showing my kids that, and knowing that they'll never be able to go up in that, but I did, so I can pass that information on to my kids, and hopefully one day they'll be able to say, hey, my dad went up in that building before it got blown up, you know, or, you know, whatever. I mean, you walk on the field at Gettysburg, and you have to close your eyes and really take in where you're at and what happened there. Because I can't imagine standing on that field with that many people with guns firing back and forth, and how much death was there, and how many lives were lost, and the aftermath of it. And of course, standing in Ford's Theater where Lincoln was shot. You know, this is history. This is history to me, and it's history to all of us. But to me, it means more than, oh, this is what happened here. I can, dare I say, I can feel it. I can almost put myself there by just closing my eyes and thinking about it, and seeing the camaraderie and everything that happened, and being able to stand in these places going, history was made here. I try to get that through my kids' heads. Like, we go up to D.C. all the time. I know I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent. We go to D.C. all the time, and to stand where Martin Luther King gave his speech, and Ella Fitzgerald sang, you know, and to actually be on the spot where all that happened, it kind of threw me for a loop. We were up in D.C. and I was playing a video of Martin Luther King's speech. Remember when it was that? Mm-hmm. And we were watching it as we were standing in the exact spot where it took place. that's cool. That's something that just, it blew my mind, and it affected me in a way that I didn't expect. So that's the explanation on why I'm so adamant about everything that's happening right now, and I kind of went off the keto stuff, even though it's still involved. And what I mean by that is that the shortage of food and supplies right now is affecting mine and Amy's lifestyle drastically. Yes, I can go to a food distributor and get the majority of the stuff that we need, but there's things that other things that we need that we can't get there. So the supply chain.
Being the biggest thing.
Yeah, eggs. Eggs are a huge thing on keto. If you know anything about keto, it's eggs and cheese basically. Well, I know it's more involved than that, but those are dietary staples, and to not be able to get eggs stops us from making a lot of the stuff that we make. So it is directly involved with the whole keto thing, although I do go off on tangents from time to time. So, Stacy, I apologize for that. We're getting back to the brass tacks, so just kind of bear with me, and we'll get there. So this is going to be the last video that for a while that I mention anything COVID-19 related. And the only reason I'm mentioning it is because of, oh man, I'm warm. The only reason I'm mentioning it is because of what we're going to talk about today, is how has all this affected us. Again, I was speaking to another friend of mine that said, you ought to tell people how it's affecting you. I have no problem putting my feelings and my guts out there and letting people stomp all over them and criticize me. If that's something that you guys have a problem with as far as putting yourselves out there, that's fine too. Amy, I don't know how you feel about it, but
I go back and forth.
I just don't, there's not anything that anybody out there in internet world that can say that'll ever upset me, ever make me mad. You can troll me, you can do whatever you want. You know what? I wear everything pretty much on my sleeve anyway, so there you go. I mean, try as you might. I don't consider it a challenge because I won't respond to comments like that anyway, and I'll probably just delete them. But the point of it is I put myself out there so you guys know how I'm doing, and that it's normal to do this, and it's normal to feel this, and it's normal to get frustrated, and it's normal to get to the point where you're just ready to pull your hair out. So that being said, we're gonna start into the whole keto stuff. It's been rough. It's been hard. It's been very, very weird.
Well, yeah, we have to remember on our keto diet that this isn't just like physical, and it's not just about the food.
Oh no, it's
Making
mental and
changes,
emotional and
mentally
everything else. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have had just in the past week or so, I've had a couple bouts of depression, and it's not because of the diet. Now it does affect the way I want to eat though, because I got down just from being shut in. I'm a huge fisherman, as everybody knows. I love to fish. I love to crab. That's why we moved to where we're living. And I haven't been able to. So I feel a part of my life. I'm sitting here in my living room. I have all my fishing rods on my wall. My tackle box is ready to go. And I mean, at a moment's notice, I can throw it in the car and be out the door.
Oh yeah, we set it all up before any of this.
Oh yeah, before the virus even came out. So I had all my springtime gear ready to go, and it's just been sitting. And I look at it every day, going, "Man, I wish I was out on the water fishing." And that gives me something to look forward to for when all this goes away. But until that happens, I look at it now and I'm like, man, I really wish I was fishing. And knowing that I can't go, or knowing that I'm very limited on how I can go. And it's gotten me down. And the problem, and I'm missing my friends terribly up in Habit of Grace. You know who you are. I'm not going to mention your names.
Oh
But
my God, yes. During this, we could just sit around for 3
this is-
days and spell our guts.
this
to each
is
other.
our our, like, springtime. I mean, springtime, we always get together in the spring.
Yep.
And we haven't been able to do that because of this, and it's killing both me and Amy. So we're trying to make plans on how we can get together and stuff, which is cool. And that, that'll help. And I know they're going about half insane with being shut in, because they're like us. We like to live outside. We like to be outside. I don't like to sit on my couch day in and day out and watch TV. I like to be active. I like to garden. I like to fish. On a lesser extent, I enjoy hunting sometimes. I just like being out. Amy loves to clam. We love to get out and just go different places. Even though she may or may not fish, I will. The kids will. They'll play in the water while we fish. And that's just stuff that we all enjoy doing. And being restricted on being able to do that has really affected, well, my mental health. I mean, it's affected all of our mental health.
Let's see, mental health-wise for me, I'm doing much better whenever I don't have to go out. But when I have to go out,
oh my God,
I
it's
need
like
something.
anxiety attack, and she has to pop 3 Xanax. I know that was a
that was an
stretch.
exaggeration, yeah,
It's the
but
truth,
it's not,
though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't take that much Xanax, guys.
I should. I accidentally Xannied myself. Funny story. I'll get into that later. Anyway, or probably not today, but one day I'll tell you.
Yes, everybody, I have a legitimate prescription for the necessity of having it because I have a severe
It doesn't
anxiety
matter.
condition, if you didn't know.
Come on now. Anyway.
Well, I don't know if somebody that watches your videos that don't know me.
Well, it doesn't really matter. You have a prescription. Okay, she has a prescription for Xanax. It's the smallest Xanax you can possibly get. It's like a child's dose.
It is
But
a child's dose.
anyway, off the Xanax. The point of it is it is affecting us mentally. It's finally starting to eat at me. I want to go. I want to go fishing. I want to go to the beach. I want to go swimming. I love to swim. That's one of my all-time favorite things to do. There's just so much I want to do, and we're restricted. We're held back. I want to be able to go into the grocery store and find the things I need to make cook videos for you guys. And that's a hard thing to do too.
Oh, and it's so the most difficult thing when you're going into somewhere and you want to pick up a product and you want to read it, but you go to reach for the product and then you pull your hand back like, maybe I shouldn't be touching everything.
Oh, screw it. I don't even care about that. The idea of it is, there's, and if you go into the grocery store, there's someone 6 feet behind you pushing the cart waiting for you if they're following social distancing, or there's people cutting in and out right in front of you and it doesn't matter anyway. So either way, you're either pissing someone off behind you, you're getting pissed off because this person's reaching over you and sticking their armpit in your face. Happened to me at BJ's. Yeah, tell me about it. Or, it's always something. It's something. So, I agree with social distancing. I think the idea of social distancing is great, but in today's day and age, it's pretty rough. I mean, the organization to do social distancing is very difficult, and that also affects everything that we do.
Yeah.
So it's more of a hindrance than it is a help. That's for damn sure. I'm getting to the point where I'm kind of throwing caution to the wind a bit. I mean, I really don't like the idea of having to wear a face mask everywhere I go. And, of course, Governor Hogan put that thing in there. And first off, I don't wear neckties. If anybody knows me and they've seen me in a necktie, it was when I was really young. I haven't worn a necktie since my first wedding. And that was back in, oh God, it's been forever. Let's just put it that way. I haven't worn a necktie since. I won't wear them to court, won't wear them to formal stuff, I just don't wear neckties. So, and the reason is it's constricting against my throat. So it feels weird, and I feel like I'm gagging and feel like I'm choking. I hate stuff over my face. So for me to put a mask or a bandana over my face drives me absolutely crazy.
It's claustrophobia to the max.
I understand the necessity of having it. Oh, why is it every time I make a video I yawn?
Because you're talking so much.
Yeah, probably. So I understand the necessity of having it. I understand the importance of having it. But I'm also willing to take the risk and not wear the damn thing. But now, if I don't, I get fined. And I think that's bad. That's heading in a bad direction, and I don't like it. The schooling. That's another thing I want to touch on. Homeschooling these kids. Again, you guys know, what is that?
9 minutes.
For the whole half hour?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I got 9 minutes of film left. Homeschooling these kids from this whole thing has been absolutely insane. The teachers are trying. The school board system is broken. And the thing's just not working. So I'm about to hang my hat up with it. Yeah, pretty much.
No offense, Dr. Salmon, but there's like, what, a dozen states that have canceled school for the
Yeah.
rest of the year?
All of the superintendent and the governor needs to agree on it, and they just need to throw in the towel for the year. This year, first off, we're all under enough stress as it is. I don't need the stress of having to teach these kids. And it's not doing them any good anyway. The work that they're doing is just busy work. They know the material, and what they don't know, we can't help them with. So, what's the point? I'm about done with it. The other one issue that I wanted to touch on, as far as the keto stuff goes, is again supply. Finding the stuff that we need, and I mean, with Amazon being shut down except for essentials, we have a hard time getting the almond flour and the coconut flour and the stuff like that we need. And it's just insane. Because we always ordered that stuff off of Amazon. So now we don't have access to it. It's getting more and more difficult as the days go on.
Now we should probably get a hold of Amazon because those products should be
Essential.
on the essential list. I mean, it's food.
Yeah, well, they don't. It's specialty food, and it's fairly gourmet food, believe it or not. I know it's not what we consider gourmet, but it is.
I believe it.
So it's not essential. But if it was white flour or white sugar, they'd send it right out, you know. So there you go, guys. There's just a quick overview. I wanted to address that because it's the elephant in the room. And I know that, you know, Stacy, that you were inquiring about it, and I wanted to touch on it to make sure you understood why it went from absolute keto to all of a sudden everything was virus related. We're living in strange times, guys, and this is...
You have a very historical mind.
I do. I have a very historical mind, and I also...
current events.
I also have a very... open mouth, and I'm very opinionated. So, I want to express my opinion creatively and constructively instead of going over to Annapolis like people did yesterday. That was just...
I didn't even pay attention.
You know, I salute them for having the balls to do it. Although, having a gathering that big right now is probably a really bad idea. But I digress. It's not my body. I wasn't over there. So, it is what it is, I guess. Can't erase it. Right? So, guys, I apologize for going off on the virus tangent there for a while. We are going to get back into more keto stuff and more of the food stuff and all that. It will happen. I go off. I'm ADD too, so it's like, all right, keto, look at the squirrel. Well, so that's just kind of how it goes. So, guys, that's all I got for you today. I'll get into it tomorrow more about some keto stuff. I might even do a cook video if I can get stuff to do a cook video. And that's it. So get healthy, get happy, and stay safe, guys. Don't do anything stupid. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.